Okay, so 5 categories for tornadoes, 5 categories for hurricanes, but as you might imagine, they're different scales. So Fujita or enhanced Fujita for tornadoes. For hurricanes, it's the Saffir-Simpson, the Simpsons scale, okay? But there are 5, and 5 is the most intense, okay? I think the enhanced Fujita scale, isn't it 0 through 5?
Yeah.
This is 1 through 5, yeah. So we'll talk more about what storm surge is, but in that video we watched, he talked about the storm surge basically as, well, we'll talk more about that. Okay, but like I said, basically what you're going to see on the next chart is the wind speeds get at Cat 1 through 5. Just like the wind speeds are what gets it out from a tropical storm to be elevated to a hurricane or tropical cyclone. So this says, and sometimes I think really, it says there have only been 3 Category 5 and 16 Category 4 hurricanes that hit the U.S. from 1900 to 2005. 3 does not sound like much to me.
Katrina was a 4, right?
Yeah, it wasn't a 5. It might have been a 3. I don't know.
She was a 5 when she was like
Katrina.
200 miles off.
I think the only Category
But
5 I can remember is
landfall.
the Key West one.
Okay. So here's your 1 through 5 on the left there. That's how you categorize them. And remember, and this is sometimes what I'll ask students, they get categorized along the way because like they're big and you can sink your teeth into them. Tornadoes are categorized after the fact.
5.4 meters.
Yeah, that's pretty high, pretty tall.
5.4 meters. I'll Google that. Because I think it's closer to 20.
So this figure is actually showing you the paths of the hurricanes, for 150 years. And so it looks like a busy slide to me. Let's find us over here. So here's North America. Okay. And you can see if I put an H there, okay, basically, and we call this recurving. I think that is so cool. As I've kind of drawn the arrow kind of going around the Bermuda high, that's called recurving. So actually we have a semi-permanent high over here too, and I should pick a different color. Okay, so in the northern hemisphere it's clockwise, in the southern hemisphere it's counterclockwise. So let's take a look at the folks that, how do we monitor the storm while it's progressing. And one is basically I just thought of this tonight, the global positioning system drop wind sounds, actually they are the opposite of a weather balloon. So basically your airplanes go in and they drop those things versus a weather balloon is the balloon carries it up. Okay, so and as they drop through the system they can go ahead and measure things like pressure and wind speed.
They couldn't have thought of a better name than whatever that is.
Yeah, really. GPS, Global Positioning System. That's GPS, right?
Yeah, that's
Droplet
GPS,
sounds.
but that other one.
Droplet songs? I know. I agree. And that's where one of them is. That's a drop wind sound.
So it's basically the thing that falls out of the weather balloon when it pops.
Very similar. But remember the weather balloon is taking measurements as it goes up. And basically when it pops, then it's done collecting data.
It would be harder to tell where it is getting dropped, though, right? Because it could get caught in the winds.
Well, no, they mark where they drop it. They're in the plane.
I think they know enough about the weather system to kind of know, and it all makes sense.
Okay.
But you're right. I mean, it's going to be relocated. Yeah. So,
do they go pick it up after they drop it? Do they go pick it up?
No. I think that one is not recovered. I'd take one, but
I wonder how much one costs. Because that seems like a waste of money. I bet that thing costs $5,000 a pop.
That's true. I don't know. No, it does not. Like the weather, it's similar to a weather balloon thingy.
I bet it's $5,000 a pop.
I bet it's not. So those planes, you know what that reminds me of? The movie The Day After Tomorrow, where the planes flew. Did you guys see that? Where the planes flew in? Were they helicopters? The choppers that got caught in the cold The movie The Day
Yeah,
After
then it just
Tomorrow?
froze solid.
Yeah, they froze solid.
You really like that movie.
I do.
It's a really good weather movie.
Yeah.
We're gonna watch Into the Storm though, I think they're like that.
Into the Storm, okay, yeah, I think I will too. The kind of the recurving I showed, basically they start, ours in the Atlantic Ocean anyway, kind of start over there off the the western coast of South America and take the easterly trades across the ocean. And I like that they're seeking warm water to stay sustained. Not really, right? They eventually move like poleward in the northern hemisphere, move north, and so as they move over colder water, then they lose some of their energy. If they run over land, they lose some of their energy, just like you told me. And they will go from a tropical cyclone or from a hurricane. Remember, that's the same thing. They'll get downgraded to a tropical depression. Tropical storm, then to a tropical depression, then to a tropical storm. So that H we've been talking about in the Atlantic Ocean basin, that's the Bermuda Triangle. That's the semi-permanent high called the Bermuda High. And so there's finally the word recurving that I think is helpful around that high. So it just kind of does like a little circle thingy. See, to me, the recurving makes sense when Hurricane Sandy did her thing, she got way up the coast. I mean, New York or whatever. Where was that? Long Island? I don't know. They don't usually get hurricanes, but this is what was happening to that system. So you can kind of see the recurving. These are hurricanes in 04. So check out Florida getting crisscrossed by 3 hurricanes that year.
They did not have a fun time.
No, Charlie is orange. Hurricane Francis is
Jean kind of did a loop-de-loop
purple. Yeah, Jean is magenta.
She got drunk in Cuba.
Yeah. This right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, really?
Actually gets Cuba's rain.
Oh.
I think there's a little competition going on.
I don't know. I'm terrible
I
with my
just like
things.
jokes.
That was 04. Here's an assortment of hurricanes. From 1900, you see the Galveston hurricane, the one that took so many lives, and then ending in 08 with Hurricane Ike, just some historic ones. Remember the ... is it's been downgraded from a hurricane to a tropical storm.
Is the one in Galveston the only one that's ever reached Iowa?
That's a good
That's
point.
really inward.
Yeah. Actually, by the time it gets up here to Iowa,
It's
as
tropical storm.
tropical storm, but it's just mostly rain and stuff. So
Okay.
yeah, and it'd be an L on the weather map with those spiral rain bands. I don't know if they'd really be spiral, but
How inward that is.
yeah. But your point is well taken that sometimes after a hurricane, here in the Midwest, we actually can get some of their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the 3 things that will get you in a hurricane. The winds, most notably, well, in the spiral rain bands, but the winds get tighter as you get next to the eye. Winds within the eye wall are just terrible, I guess. The heavy rain, most associated with the spiral rain bands, and the tornadoes are kind of just embedded throughout.
It sounds like a crappy day, like you're already getting smashed by a hurricane. You don't know where the tornado is.
Yeah,
And you're just screwed.
this is not good. And you guys were talking about getting insurance and stuff. So I think this is true with Katrina. Like folks would have their homes insured, but if it was the heavy rain, flooding from the heavy rain that got them, and they didn't have flood insurance, they were SOL. So or something like
So I
that.
guess that'll
Okay,
make
so I did
sense.
research on how much one of those drop-ins on things costs.
How much they cost?
I was off base. I admit I was astronomically high on my pricing. They're about $300 to $400 a pop,
Really? Okay.
and they throw
It's a bargain.
How many they dropped? though?
30 to 40 per hurricane.
Okay. There we
Okay,
go.
that's neat.
So
Okay.
yeah.
It's still a little chunk of change, but not like $5,000.
Well, considering we're a few $1 trillion in debt.
So if you pick one up, you can probably resell it for half the price, right?
But how would
They-
you recover them?
They float,
Oh.
and they're GPS.
Oh.
So they could go pick them up, they just don't.
Oh.
Wait, no, the rainstorm millage will go
Did
retreat.
you realize the US government to get out of debt to scraping would have to create $5 million a day for the next 536 days? Unless they legalize marijuana, and then yes, you're gonna have a lot.
Okay. So I guess this could be a separate thing other than, what did I say? I said the winds, the heavy rain, the tornadoes, and there is something specifically called the storm surge. Storm surge is only at landfall. So basically your hurricane or tropical cyclone's out there in the ocean, and when it intersects with, from the ocean to the land, you get the storm surge. And basically what it is think of this eye right here as being the most intense winds, right? And it is, this is right. Down here.
It looks like a Beyblade.
What's that? It's a low, so it's going counterclockwise at the surface anyway. Your outflow is clockwise. So actually, what happens, and I think I said this the other day, basically if you are in the eye and it's like you're in a swimming pool, you put your hands out and then you make a whoosh of water, and actually that swoosh of water is what we call storm surge when the hurricane makes landfall. Okay? So, but I can't think of as whether it's the eye or whether it's the spiral rain bands. I kind of think it's the spiral rain bands now. So the place to get the worst is going to be here on the right side because it's going counterclockwise. So Katrina, aftermath of Katrina.
Is that a house on a train track?
Is that what?
A house on a train track?
Yeah, it is.
You just shoot the train right on through there and clear it out.
Seems like, to be honest, seems like the best way to clear the tracks.
Derail a train.
No.
Way
You
expensive.
know how hard it is to derail a train?
The train driver.
Not hard at all.
Pretty hard.
They have the myth, man. The Mythbusters. Put a quarter on.
How hard is it?
If you were to take one
A
of the
penny?
railroad
Would a
ties
penny
from
re-
I
under
think on
the
Mythbusters
tracks and then put it on the tracks, that would be real.
episode.
Did it?
It didn't
That's
work,
what I
but
think
that'd be neat if it did.
It has to be something pretty substantially large, but it's a lot smaller than what you would think to actually derail a train.
Or just do it the different watches and cut 4 feet of track.
Yeah, that'd do it too.
Okay, so here we see, you can kind of see the eye looking down, right? And so the people to get the worst storm surge are going to be over here on what we call the right side. So,
Doppler radar.
no, this looks like a regular radar because it's more colorful than Doppler radar. So it is showing you where the most intense rains are. So this is kind of looking down. You can actually see a little bit of kind of the spiral arms here where the yellow is, and the green is kind of between the spiral arms. It kind of extends out here.
Now, are they also shaped like a comma? Because the top one kind of looks like a comma.
Not that I know of.
Okay.
That's a good question. No, they're usually kind of like a
Beyblade, man.
like a galaxy, like a spiral galaxy kind of. So drop when sounds cost about $300 to $400.
About $300-400 per
Okay.
unit.
All right. Those aircraft that fly into hurricanes, Doppler radar we talked about. That is actually going to show you rotation. And this Vortrack is we do when we talk about weather forecasting in the next week when we come. They do a lot with computers, go figure, and modeling. So that actually, the Vortrack is for hurricanes to feed information into it live to anticipate where it's going to be strong and all that. So the red is the estimated pressures, and the oranges there are the real pressures. All right, so again, the movie The Day After Tomorrow. Okay, those weather buoys out there in Greenland, that actually they go beep, beep, they were going off because the temperature was falling or rising, I can't remember. But the buoys would be kind of out here in the middle of nowhere. So basically, for instance, for Fran, if you want to know if she's going to you know, if she's gonna keep her warm temperatures. You can see, looks like that's 81 out there, 79. Okay, that Atlantic Ocean temperature can give you a hint. Sea surface temperatures. So here is the dude manning the phone. So of course, Norman, Oklahoma is not going to give these guys the weather forecast. This is actually located in Florida, National Hurricane Center. And so just like with our storms, they have watches and warnings. So warnings are worse than the watches. Okay. One of my favorite, we are going to finish, aren't we? One of my favorite things in spring is the cone of uncertainty. Have you ever heard about that? Basically, it's where the cyclone is now and where it could end up. It does sound like a homework sentence.
Sounds like I could be a weatherman. Yeah, I might go this way and hey, it might end up in Florida.
In 2005, when Katrina hit, one of the things they were up against was that folks didn't leave when they maybe should have. It's because, have you ever heard of crying wolf or whatever? Yeah. That they had too many kind of false alarms, yeah. So they have to be careful for evac advisories. What's that? Yeah, not the Superdome. But the thing, and I've got a movie on Katrina we might watch next week, I don't know. But the thing about Katrina was the hurricane came and went, and it was like the afterwards that the levees were breached, and it was actually clear skies, and they thought they were out of the trouble, and it was not. It wasn't the hurricane, it was the levees being breached. So here's the cone of uncertainty. Kind of the red dot is where the hurricane is, and kind of you see the S means storm and the H means they predict it will get sustained winds to be upgraded to a hurricane. The cone of uncertainty. And that's it. Dang. So that's good. And like I said, we might start out with a hurricane movie.
So 10 and 11 assignments are due.
10 and 11 assignments are due next week. Yes.
Do you have a paper of the assignments?
Let me check.
Let's go, Adam.